Comrade Pratt the opportunity to share his thoughts on this issue.
Well, the expectations, that the people have of the administration are many, and some may even be conflicting. I think the first expectation that people have is that the economic conditions in the country would improve. Because the economic conditions in the country now are really terrible. I mean, this country is virtually bankrupt. And President John Dramani Mahama is taking over. An economy which is in the doldrums. And we will discuss the details of that when we come to discuss the issue of our renegotiations with the IMF. So people expect something dramatic. They expect that the cost of food items and food, would go down considerably, or at least would be halted. I mean, over the last couple of years, the price of a ball of kenkey has moved from 50 pesos to 5 cedis. And people expect that at least it should remain at 5 cedis for some time to come. There is the issue also of, fuel costs. And fuel costs has risen so dramatically within the last 8 years. The expectation of many people is that the costs at least will remain stable, for some time and so on. Then there's the vexed question of the energy situation, the power situation. I mean, Dumso is back with us. I mean, nobody can deny that. The previous administration made strenuous efforts to deny that. But you and I know when the power goes off. I mean, here in Abelimpe, it goes off most of the time. We've had to spend a lot of money buying fuel for the plant so that this station can continue to work. So that's a huge issue. And we are told that the outgoing government is leaving a debt of more than $2 billion. How the Mahama administration is going to find $2 billion to stop Dumso is a huge problem that they have to confront, Then there are many other issues. I mean, for example, it's expected that the new administration would give the opportunity to women, to serve in sensitive government appointments and so on. The start has not been very good. I saw President Mahama's transition team, and I was surprised that there was only one woman on the transition team. I was really surprised, given all the noise we've made about the representation of women and so on. I was expecting right from the beginning to see quite, a sizable number of women participating in the decision-making process in government. But it's early days yet, and we are hoping to see. Again, I think that people expect that the size of government will be radically reduced. President John Dramani Mahama has made a commitment to reduce the number of ministers to 60. It's a difficult thing, but he has to do it. It's a promise, it's an electoral promise, and it cannot be broken. I've already heard people saying that, if he's able to even do 65, we'll be happy and so on. Nobody will be happy with 65. The promise was for 60, and 60 should be delivered. You understand? There are a number of people who themselves are looking for appointments for themselves, and they have started making those noises in the hope that if the number is increased, their chances of getting ministerial appointments and so on will be improved. But look, this is not about individual chances of becoming ministers and so on. This is about how healthy the national economy is and how we need to cut down the size of government as a means of making resources available for other things. And 60 is 60. I mean, 60 cannot be 61, it cannot be 62. So the expectation is that John Mahama will keep his promise and appoint only not more than 60, ministers. I mean, that's a promise which ought to be kept. Again, the gender activists have raised a number of issues. The extension of maternity leave for women. And I think that is still on the cards. People are looking to the new government, to be able to ensure that maternity leave for women is extended. Then there's the issue of sanitary pads, And the promise which the Mahama administration has made so far is that in the next 90 days, it will make sure that free sanitary pads are distributed to girls in the senior and junior, secondary schools and so on. Everybody is expecting that that promise will be kept. Then the big one, there's a huge expectation that those who have misconducted themselves in this administration will be dealt with. They'll be investigated and dealt with according to law. I mean, that's a huge expectation. And if the current administration fails to do that, I think it's going to be in some kind of trouble. I have said from the very beginning that the priority ought not be chasing people who have abused office and so on. The priority ought to be how to make sure that people have a sense of relief when it comes to their daily living conditions and so on. That ought to be the priority. But look, I'm in the minority. I mean a very
make that statement.
Yes, I mean a very small minority. The vast majority of our people want to see, retribution. It's unfortunate that we have gotten to this stage, but that is the state in which we are. And the Mahama administration will be expected, especially by its own supporters, to do something, about those who have misconducted themselves. As for the expectations, there's so many of them. I mean, one of the biggest expectations, and please don't underrate that, a lot of people want to see a certain measure of humility in government. The arrogance of people in government is unbearable. And people are even able to bear their economic conditions better than they can bear the arrogance of people in government. And I'm hoping that President Mahama and his team will be able to prevail on their supporters, especially those who are likely to get governmental appointments, to be very careful not to be displaying arrogance. You understand? The arrogance puts people off. People come into government, they make a little money, their standard of living improves a little, and they flaunt it. You're organizing a birthday party for yourself. Who cares? Why would you take videos of your birthday party and display the extravagance you're displaying? Who cares? You and your wife want to go on a holiday in Dubai. Who cares? You go and you video yourself and you come and show it to us. It annoys people. You understand? It annoys people. And I think that it's very, very important to emphasize this point about a certain measure of modesty in government. Even the way they talk to us. I mean, sometimes people in government talk to us as if all of us are idiots. They talk to us as if they are the only people who know and nobody else knows and so on. That should stop immediately. You understand? So I'm emphasizing that because it's absolutely important. The other thing that I'm going to emphasize has to do with the intrusion of family into government. I mean, this administration has suffered a lot because of the perception that the president brought too many of his family people into government. You understand? I'm hoping that the Mahama administration will take note of that. Family should remain family, and government should remain government. The infusion of the two creates distortions which makes people very, very uncomfortable. You understand? Sons and daughters of the president are only sons and daughters of the president. They have no official role in governance. And they should remain where they are as sons and daughters of the president. Finish. You understand? So these are some of the expectations. There's so many of them, but these are some of the expectations, and I'm hoping that the new administration will be able to live up to expectation. I mean, for people like me, we actually expect a fundamental restructuring of the society. A fundamental restructuring of the society which ultimately will make tillers the owners of the land. A fundamental restructuring of society which would make the ownership of the apparatus for distribution, for production and distribution of the needs and services of our people, owned ruled by the workers, the working people, and so on. Ultimately, that's what we want. We expect a new government and a new society which will remain loyal to the ideals of Pan-Africanism and push for the unity of African states, because without that we are not going anywhere. We expect that foreign military bases on our soil will be demobilized immediately. You understand? As we speak, NATO has made a request to 3 countries in West Africa, that is Benin, La Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana, for permission to establish drone bases here. We don't need drone bases in our country. Drone bases do not catch fish. Drone bases do not produce food. Drone bases do not enhance education. Drone bases will not improve our people's access to social services, such as housing, health, education, and so on. And it should not be a priority. We should not countenance the establishment of NATO drone bases on our soil. We should avoid the situation where Ghanaian territory will be used against the Sahel states, the 3 countries which have gone into an alliance, mainly Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. We should not allow that to happen. Our new president should not be seen to be behaving like the old president who went to the White House and asked for assistance to be able to confront Russia in Burkina Faso. That should not happen again. We should revert to our own foreign policy of non-alignment and a vigorous pursuit of African interests under the aegis of the African Union, leading ultimately to the unification of our continent. That ought to be our foreign policy priority.